Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I am Chef Marcus Giuliano, and I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is nutrition. And I get pissed off when I see companies do this. It just drives me crazy. Now keep in mind that this is only my personal critique. The company that I'm going to be talking about is actually following FDA, USDA guidelines, and so it's totally legal what they're doing. So don't think that I'm saying that they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. I'm just saying they're doing something that I don't feel is right, and that's my personal opinion. I'm entitled to that. Wanted to say that and get that little disclaimer out of the way. They're whole wheat wraps, okay? I'm going to show you the label in a minute, but this is what their whole wheat wrap says on the front. It says, a better choice for your health. Extreme wellness, right across the front. Then on the top left side it says, no cholesterol, trans fat free, high fiber, no lard. So there's no lard, there's no animal fats. So they're banking on there's no lard. Well, I don't know of many wraps that are using lard, okay? They're all using some kind of fat. I personally use, in my restaurant, a wrap that's made from expeller-pressed safflower or expeller-pressed canola oil. So there's a lot of wraps out there that do that. I've never really seen lard in one. So they're throwing an ingredient out there like that really isn't used that often. So that's like saying like, oh, these sausages are gluten-free when nobody's putting gluten in sausages, right? So it's just adding extra words there to make the consumer think like, oh, I'm getting something, right? No cholesterol. Well, again, if there's no lard or animal products, there would be no cholesterol because cholesterol is a product of animal. It's an animal product. So they're saying no cholesterol, no lard, which really isn't in the majority of the wraps to begin with. Then they're saying trans fat free, and here's what just drives me crazy, and this is the problem of the USDA. The USDA allows companies to put on their packages 0 grams of trans fats, okay, per serving. But they're actually allowed to have the trans fats in there as long as you meet a certain level, and then you can round down from that level. So you can round down to 0. So if you're at like 0.4 grams per serving, so the companies now know, let's make the portion sizes smaller. Let's get the trans fat portion size for that portion smaller, and we can round down and say 0. When in fact, like let's say a small bag of potato chips may have 3 portions in it as opposed to having 1 portion in it, right? Because 1 portion might bring it over the threshold. So they'll take these and reconfigure the portion sizes, which is just out of whack. So that's the USDA. And of course, that was probably funded and initiated by big businesses, food manufacturers specifically. So Olay, extreme wellness. So let's take a look and see what's in these. Let's take a look at the front. Here's a picture of the front of the wrap. We're going to take a look at the back of the wrap, okay? First ingredient, whole wheat, right? Second ingredient is enriched, bleached flour. It's white flour, the second ingredient, okay? You can basically say anything you want about things. If there was 2% shrimp in this wrap, the company could say, or any company could say, well, these are shrimp wraps, right? Yeah, because there's 2% of them or 3% is shrimp. This is all, and chefs do this too, and big manufacturers do this. They'll add an ingredient and want to highlight that, and this. So whole wheat is just the highlight. Whole wheat's not what's 100% in here, okay? So you gotta, when you look at these labels, you gotta say, you know, let me look at the other side and see what's in the ingredients. So let me show you quickly what's in the ingredients. Take a look. So did you see there's partially hydrogenated soybean? Now from my understanding, my personal understanding, which I learned from somebody years ago, is that you don't partially hydrogenate, you don't fully hydrogenate oil. You can only partially, by adding the hydrogen to oil, you're stabilizing it. Well, you can't fully hydrogenate oil. So the term fully hydrogenated is like an oxymoron. So it's partially hydrogenated, which means it's hydrogenated. It's either hydrogenated or it's not hydrogenated. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I've understood it for years from a very reputable health guru. Years ago I read that. So it's partially hydrogenated, which means it's hydrogenated. And when you hydrogenate something, you're creating trans fats. So if it says if there's trans fats in it, and the label says no trans fats, see, that right there is what I have a problem with. Now, Olay is not really breaking a law here. They're just going with the USDA guidelines. Then they're putting sugar in here. I really would have thought there would have been corn syrup in here. So, yeah, okay, that's one thing they might have not put in that other companies do put in. So there's no corn syrup, thank goodness. But there is corn starch. So if you have a corn allergy, and you would never think of going to somebody's house or going to pick this up in a store or even to a restaurant. You'd never imagine, well, I'm gonna eat this because I have a corn allergy, right? Then there's corn in it. So you have to be so careful and read ingredients. And there's of course a mold inhibitor, there's dough conditioners in here. There's a lot of companies out there that are doing wraps, tortillas in a much better way. There's organic wraps out there. There's stuff that's really clear to read. A lot of companies out there. I use a company that's super clean in my restaurant. I've been using them for 15 years. Now I spoke to Ole. I spoke to somebody in the quality control department. And, and he basically really didn't know what was going on with this. He's like, he told me they're not breaking the law, which you're not breaking the law. But the problem that I have is extreme wellness is that's not a term that the USDA has come up with. Extreme wellness is Ole's proprietary name. So they named the product Extreme Wellness. We could name a candy bar Extreme Wellness or Extreme Health and put all kinds of crap in it, right? And make that claim because that's what we're trademarking it. That's what we're registering the name as. That's what they've done. They've taken a good high quality name that you would associate with being healthy and put it on their package. Now that, in my personal opinion, is dead wrong because they're misleading. You do all these things, you mislead, you turn over, and it's just not such a clean product, Ole. So the guy tells me today, well, the USDA has banned trans fats. True, the USDA is, as of March 2013, they've said that this is not going to be allowed anymore in food, but they're giving a grace period of like 2-3 years for these companies to get it out. So the guy at Ole was like, well, at least we're going to act quicker than the USDA says, right? Well, in reality, other companies have acted 10-15 years before you guys. So you're only reacting because, in my opinion, that the USDA has said something. So it's not like you're going to be ahead of the USDA and you're doing something great. It's the guy who I spoke to at Ole Foods in the quality control. He was like almost like bragging, like, well, we're going to be way ahead of them and this and that, and we're doing it because we want to, not because we have to. No, you're going to have to, and now you have the clock is ticking, and you're a large company and you're distributing all across the country, and you got to figure your crap out quick to be able to get this stuff out to keep it on the market and keep your market share. You can't lose time out there. So, here's the first tip-off. When you go to buy these wraps, they're sitting on a dry counter, on a shelf storage in the grocery store. They're not sitting in the freezer, in the refrigerator. That's your first tip-off as a consumer. When you see stuff sitting out, that means companies are typically adding a preservative in there. They're adding a mold inhibitor. They're adding something to preserve it so it can sit on a shelf. Okay, and when you add those things are things you don't want to eat. The wraps that I buy, I happen to buy them frozen, okay? There's no chemicals in it, but there's a lot that you can buy in the refrigerated section too with no chems. There's a lot of great companies out there doing sprouted ones, sprouted corn ones, really super clean ingredients. So Ole Foods, I'm going to say shame on you. That's my personal opinion of this. Like I said, they're not breaking the law. They're not doing anything wrong. My opinion is they are misleading with extreme wellness, and they're taking advantage of the USDA, which in turn takes advantage of you, the consumer, which is why the consumer needs to speak up. Call Ole, tell them what you feel, and other companies that you think that are screwing with our health and taking advantage of us, call them. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano. Thank you for watching this video. If you like health just as much as I do, or want to eat healthy, please like my channel, subscribe to it, like my videos, pass it on, share them, and let these food companies know that we don't want their crap anymore. Thanks for watching.
I can't stop it tonight. This epidemic, I'm trying to fight. Blood pressure's rising.